Hello to all Gold viewers from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC here at Gold. And I'm here today with Monica Esparza, one of our speakers at our upcoming Gold Lactation Conference. Welcome, Monica.
Hi there. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited.
Wonderful to have you here. So yeah, we will speak about we'll talk about your presentation in a little bit, but I want you to introduce yourself to our viewers. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where in the world are you? And let's start with that, and then I will ask you about your work.
All right. Well, I'm Monica Esparza. I am joining from the beautiful land of enchantment, which is what we call our beautiful New Mexico state in the United States. And I've been living here for over 30 years. So it's a beautiful place. It's desert, but it's also mountainous. And I live here with my family. I have two kiddos and my husband. And I don't know, it's just, I love being in the community. I love working with the community. I'm an immigrant. And I speak both English and Spanish.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you are a lactation professional, right? So tell us about your work. You're working in the communities. You're right there serving local families in your community. Tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing right now.
Yes, of course. So I have been involved in the lactation work and in the maternal infant field for many, many years, over 13 years. I started as a peer counselor through the Department of Health in WIC, and I continue to provide one-on-one support to families. Then I started working within the hospital systems, providing one-to-one support right as families were getting ready to birth and soon after, and connecting them with the resources within their communities and the peer counselors within their communities to make sure that they had the support that they needed. I since then have become a certified lactation counselor, and I'm also a certified community interpreter. And so really my work now involves in working within the systems as executive director for our breastfeeding coalition here in the state, is working with our partners, working with our grassroots communities, working within the systems so that we can continue to work together and decrease the barriers that families the families see whenever they're trying to reach their own breastfeeding goals.
Right. That's what I would like to talk to you about, barriers. That was my next question, and you did a beautiful segue into that there. You are originally, if you're from Mexico, you're an immigrant. So you're serving the community. What barriers do you see for that community? I mean, one, of course, is language, and you mentioned you're an interpreter, but what other barriers do you see when it comes to for these families to receive breastfeeding and lactation help?
Well, access, really access to lactation care. We have, we here in New Mexico, our state is very rural. So one of the issues is actually just finding someone within their community. But also families do like to connect with someone that they feel represented and reflected.
Yeah, that somebody who understands them, who understands their
That
background,
is
their
correct.
language, their culture. There's so much to it, right? And so you mentioned access to it's rural. Transportation must be an issue, right? So how do you connect with the families? Do you have lactation professionals? You mentioned you're the director there, going out into the communities. Is there a transportation available? How does that work?
That's what we're working on and building on, is building those networks and systems in place so that people can find the access that they need, whether it's supporting folks within the same community to become certified lactation counselors or have additional lactation education. And it's also, now that everything is online, is connecting folks with lactation professionals that do online and virtual services. So we really take this holistic and multi-level approach.
How is the online infrastructure? Especially during COVID, probably everybody went online, but do families have access to online services, internet, and things like that, or do you see it still difficult?
It's still difficult. It varies from community to community, from area to area. There's some areas where even a cell phone or even home service for telephone is already an issue. And there's areas where it's not. So it's really working within that community to identify the issues and connect them with the services that can be provided there.
You also mentioned peer supporters. You started out that one as well. That must be a big one, right? Training peer supporters, having them go out there, working in the community. That must work really well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, that's where I come from. I
Yeah.
myself was a peer supporter, and we work in partnership with the Department of Health and the WIC Department, Women, Infant, and Children's Department, in order to support their peer support program. And what really does is that takes people that are already in the community receiving WIC services. They represent the community, they speak the language, and they themselves are nursing parents. So they're able to connect and really on a personal level with the families that are needing that support.
That's fantastic. So let's talk about your presentation here at GOLD, which is titled Increasing Lactation Support Through Community Partners. And it goes right into that, what we just talked about, right? Community partnerships that are so incredibly important. So give us a little overview of what you will be talking about.
Yes, so I'm excited to share a little bit about what we're working on and here in New Mexico, which we call it the lactation ecosystem. And it's really working within the partners, identifying those partners and acknowledging that we all have a role to play in supporting lactation support and how we can work together to decrease the barriers.
Absolutely beautiful. Is that a program that you came up with together with the health department, or is that from a nonprofit? Just a little bit of information there.
Right. So we are a nonprofit breastfeeding coalition. That's how we came together about the program and the way we, it's actually several programs that we run that collaborate within each other in order to decrease those barriers.
Beautiful. Would you think that looking at this program, this community partnerships program that you're working on now, that this is something that would be possibly, that could be the model, could be used in other communities outside New Mexico as well? Maybe, you know, in a different way, maybe would it be like a scalable model?
Absolutely. It really helps folks hopefully see that they all have a role to play and how they can partner with each other and which agencies can they work with and how to identify those agencies and looking really at a holistic level approach.
Beautiful. And before I let you go, Monica, what little nugget of wisdom can you leave with us here today when it comes to the topic?
Well, I think my nugget of wisdom is that we all have a role to play, and it's working and looking at what role we can do, what change we can make, and which partner we can connect with so that we can continue to decrease the barriers that families experience.
Thank you so much. So Monica's presentation will be live on April 20th. And Monica, you just told me this is your birthday, right?
It is. I'll be celebrating my birthday with everyone here and just honoring what I'm so passionate about and really, really excited to do.
Wonderful. We are looking forward to it, Monica, so much. Thank you so much for sitting down here with me, spending time chatting and talking about the important work you're doing out there in the community.
Well, thank you so much for having me here.
And for our viewers, if you're really interested in this presentation and the other presentations that are part of the lactation conference that's coming up here, the GOLD Lactation Online Conference of 2022, you can find out more by going to goldlactation.com. I hope I see you all at the conference. Bye-bye, everyone.